Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, hello happy people. How are you today? I hope you guys always in a good condition. So, in this video, I wanna explain you guys about narrative text and recount text. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Diva Annisa Naftali from 12 Social 1. My present number is 10, and I'm the student of 21 Senior High School, Surabaya. Without any further ado, let's jump to the video. Okay, so there are 5 points that you have to know if you want to be master in this chapter. The first one is the definition of narrative text and recount text. Second, the generic structure. Third, language feature. Fourth, types. And the last one is example. Next. 1. The definition of narrative text and recount text. Narrative text is a text telling a story focusing specific participants. Its social function is to tell stories or past events and entertain the readers. Recount text is a text which retells events or experiences in the past. Its purpose is either to inform or to entertain the audience. So basically, a narrative text is an imaginative story to entertain people, while recount text is a text which retells events or experiences that really happened in the past. Its purpose is either to inform or to entertain the readers. Recounts explores the stories or events which happen to participants. These events are the main element in the composing recount text. However, it just focuses on the event themselves. It doesn't include the conflict inside. Next. 2. Generic structure of narrative text and recount text. Generic structure of narrative text. There are orientation, complication, and resolution. Orientation is to introducing the participants and informing the time and the place. Complication is to describing the rising crisis which the participants have to do with. Resolution is to showing the way of participants to solve the crisis, better or worse. Sometimes the generic structure of narrative text can be contained of orientation, complication, evaluation, resolution, and reorientation. Even though evaluation and reorientation are optional, like it can be added or not. Evaluation contains of controlling and evaluating a love adventure or conflict, while the orientation talk about the conclusion of the end story. Next. The generic structure of recount text. There are orientation, events, and reorientation. Orientation. This part tells the readers the main idea of the story being discussed in the text. This part also gives a setting of the story, so that readers are aware of the story is about. It gives the readers the background information needed to understand the text, such as who was involved, where it happened, and when it happened. Event. In this part, the story starts from the very early stages. This is to say, the story develops based on the sequence of the events. Reorientation. In this part, the writer summarizes the story and tells his or her impression of the experience what has been elaborated. Next, language feature of narrative text and recount text. Language feature of narrative text. Narrative text most often use past tense. It can be simple past tense, past continuous, or other past tense forms. For example, is killed, drank, etc. Then use adverb of time. For example, is once upon a time, one day, one time, etc. Language feature of narrative text use time conjunction too. For example, is when, then, suddenly, before, after, soon, etc. Then, narrative text use specific nouns as pronoun of person, such as Cinderella, Snow White, Alibaba. Use action verbs. A verb that shows an action. For example, is kill, duck, walk, and etc. And the last one is direct and indirect speech. It is to make the story lively. For example, is Snow White said, "My name is Snow White." Next. Language feature of narrative text. Of recount text. Recount text is written in the past story, in the past tense. For example, she yelled, it need, she walked. Then have temporal sequence, e.g., on Saturday, on Monday, on Sunday. Focus on specific participants, e.g., I as the writer. Then using the conjunction such as then, before, after, etc. And the last but not least is using action verb, e.g., went, stayed. Next, types of narrative text and recount text. Types of narrative text. There are fable. A fable is a type of story which shows something in the life or has a meaning to a word. A fable teaches a lesson or suggests a moral from it. The characters of a fable may be animals, plants, and legendary creatures. Legend. A legend is a story about human events or action that has not been proved nor documented in real history. Legends are retold as if they are real events and were believed to be historical accounts. Myth. Myth is a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. Fairy tales. A fairy tale is a story often intended for children that feature fanciful and wondrous characters, such as elves, goblins, wizards, and events. Next, folktale. Folktale is a characteristically anonymous, timeless, and placeless tale circulate orally among people. And the last is love story. Love story is a story about human emotion and feeling, just like about two people who fall in love with each other. Types of free context. There are personal recount, factual recount, and imaginative recount. Personal recount. This usually retell an event that the writer was personally involved in. Factual record. Factual recount is recording an incident, e.g., a science experiment, police report. The last is imaginative recount, writing an imaginary role and giving details of events, e.g., a day in the life of a pirate. How I invented. And the last one is 5. Example of narrative text and recount text. Example of narrative text is Snow White. There are Harry Potter and etc. While example of recount text is a page from a girl's diary. I think that's all for me, and I hope you guys enjoy my video, and thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.